Welcome again, Wildcats. All right, today we're looking at Thursday, April 27th, composition of functions on page 78. And on Friday, April 28th, we'll have quiz 12. So if you would, pause the video and update your table of contents. All right, now your table of contents are updated. Let's take a look at our notes. All right, so composition of functions on page 78. So we have fog. That's f g of x, and golf, which is g f of x, where composition of functions are when you put one function inside of or in place of x. So if you would, pause the video and update your notes. All right, now your notes are updated. Let's take a look at today. And so this is page 78, and let's look at, page 78. Let's take a look at, I'm gonna do example 1 and 2, and then example 3 and 4 in class, okay? So it says, write each composition function, state the domain. So that's f g of x. So that's f, well, g of x is x squared. So we're putting x squared into the function f. Well, f is 1 divided by 2x, so we're putting x squared in for x. So that's 1 divided by 2x squared. All right, so for the domain, we need to find any restrictions. And since we have a denominator, we set that equal to 0. So 2x squared equal to 0. Divide by 2, you get x squared equals 0. Take the square root of both sides, you get x equals 0. So your domain is all real numbers. So it said x does not equal 0. So if you would, pause the video and update example 1. All right, let's look at example 2. So now we have g f of x. So that's g f of x is 1 divided by 2x. And so we're putting 1 divided by 2x into the x squared, so that's equal to 1 divided by 2x squared, which equals 1 squared is 1, 2x squared is 4x squared. All right, so now to find the domain, we need to find the restrictions. So we're going to set 4x squared equal to 0, divide by 4, x squared equals 0, take the square root of both sides, x equals 0. So since your restriction is x equals 0, your domain is all real numbers except x does not equal 0. All right, so you would pause the video and update example 2. All right, so then we can look at example 3 and 4 in class tomorrow. And again, we can also look at example 1 and 2 if you had questions on that. All right, so now let's look at example 5. Now example 5 says find the value. Now we're still using the functions here for examples 5 and 6. So we're coming back here, okay? So example 5. So that's h of g of 2. So we're plugging in 2 to g, which says 2 squared, which now we're plugging 2 squared in for h. So that's 2 squared minus 8, which 2 squared is 4 minus 8, which is negative 4. All right, and then we'll go over example 6 in class. All right, so now let's look at example 7. It says write each composition function, state the domain. So that's f g of x. So that's f g of x is 2 divided by x minus 1. Okay, so we're putting 2 divided by x minus 1 in for f, so that's 5 times 2 divided by x minus 1 plus 2. Okay, so now we need to simplify. So we get 5 times 2 is 10 divided by x minus 1 plus 2 divided by 1. Now, when adding fractions, you need the same denominator. So if we multiply x minus 1 times 1, our common denominator is x minus 1. So we need to multiply 2 over 1 times x minus 1 divided by x minus 1. And we can do that because x minus 1 divided by x minus 1 is 1. Okay, so we haven't changed this. We're just manipulating it so we can add the fractions. So that is 10 plus, well, 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Divided by x minus 1. All right, and we can simplify here. We combine the 10 negative 2, so 10 minus 2 is 8. So we get 2x plus 8 divided by x minus 1. Which we can factor out a 2 from here, so that becomes 2 times x plus 4 divided by x minus 1. All right, now it says find the domain. So to find the domain, we need to look at the restrictions. Okay, so we set the denominator equal to 0, so x minus 1 equals 0, so x equals 1. So our domain is all real numbers except x does not equal 1. All right, and so then we'll go over example 8 in class, and I'll go back over any of the examples if you need me to. Okay, so with that, have a domain of a Wildcat day.